آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها موردين وإذا قيل لهم انفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذوهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صدق الله. सूरह फातिहा हाज़रीन मजलिस के तमाम मरहूमीन और जो स्पॉन्सर्स हैं उनके मरहूमीन को भी इंक्लूड कर लें। नहीं मैं चले थे तो मैं इनको डोनेट करूँगा ये
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व आलि मुहम्मद। औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। अन जाबिर बिन अब्दिल्लाहिल अंसारी अन्नहु क़ाला अन फ़ातिमतुज़ ज़हरा अलैहा सलाम बिन्ते रसूलिल्लाहि सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि व आलिहि قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي بي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعوذ بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة أتيتني بالكساء اليماني فأتيمني به فأتمت بالكساء اليماني فأتيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلال كأنه البدر في الليلة تمامه وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك راحة طيبة كأنها راية جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي يا صاحب الحوض قد أذنت لك فدخل مع تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك راحة طيبة كأنها راحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فأذني الحسين والحسين له الكساء. فقال السلام عليك يا جد السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله وتعظم لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي ابن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك راحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي ابن أمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم هاهما ولدك تحت الكساء. فقبل علي الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا مسيحي وخليفتي وصاحب الوعي قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيته الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. قال عليك السلام يا بنتي يا بذاتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء ومن بيده يمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إنا هؤلاء أهل البيت وخاصتي وهامتي لهم ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم وأنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وضع لمن آذاهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم فأجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك غفرانك ورضوانك علي وعلي وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت سماء مبينة ولا أرضا مدية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل البيت النبوة ومعادن رسالتهم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبطت الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله ويقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبينة ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدرو ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليكم السلام يا أمين وهي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال اليمين الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم رجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال لي الأمير يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي الذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني برسالة النجية ثم ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جموع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وهفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتفرقوا. فقال عليهم النظام والله فزنا وفاز شيئتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي الثاني يا علي الذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نهيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبنا وفيه ما ومهون إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمنا ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضي الله حاجته فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وصعدنا وكذلك شيطنا فازوا وسئلوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد فاتحة.
सलावत। है रुख सद की घड़ी ऐ करबला वालो खुदा फिज सलाम आखरी है करबला वालो सलाम आखरी है न हम से हो सका कुछ भी अदा हक मेज़बानी का है ये शर्मिंदगी है करबला वालो है ये शर्मिंदगी है तुम्हारे साथ ज़हरा भी यहाँ तशरीफ लाती थी ये इज्जत भी मिली है करबला वालो ये इज्जत भी मिली है हमारे घर की रौनक भी तुम्हारे साथ जाती है उदासी छा गई है करबला वालो उदासी छा गई है करबला वालो कुछ आंसू आँख में कुछ दाग है मातम के सीने पर है नजराना यही है करबला वालो है नजराना यही है करबला वालो तुम्हारे गम में रोते रोते मर जाते तो अच्छा था ये हसरत रह गई है करबला वालो ये हसरत रह गई है हाफिज है रुख सद की घड़ी शोरा जहान में हसन अस्करी का है, नक्शे नगी अर्श की अंगुश्तरी का है, कौन में ये गुल चमने है दरी का है, दुर्रे यतीम मादन पैगंबरी का है, दुर्रे यतीम मादन पैगंबरी का है। मजलूमियत मिसाले जनाबे हुसैन है, और दबदबे में फातह बदरो, और दबदबे में फातह बदरो पर मोतमद ने कहर किया वा मुसीबता, ऐसे वली को जहर दिया वा मुसीबता, ईमान के घर को लूट लिया वा मुसीबता, खूने जिगर हरम ने पिया मुसीबता, खूने जिगर हरम ने पिया मुसीबता, हाड़ा कफन नबी ने अली नांगे सर हुए, बचपन में हाय मैं दिए दी, बचपन में हाय मैं दिए दी, अरवाह पंजतन को सताया हजार है, जन्नत में मुस्तफा को रुलाया हजार है, तुरबत से फातिमा को उठाया हजार है, कब्र शह नजफ को हिलाया, कब्र शह नजफ को हिलाया, गुलसा मेरे में होता था जिस वक्त बैन का, यहाँ करबला में हिलता था मरकज, यहाँ करबला में हिलता था, हैरान थे ज़ाहिराने हुसैनी के क्या है आज, क्यों जलजले में कब्रे शह करबला है आज, महशर मियाने गंजे शहीदा बपा है आज, आती है ये सदा में सदमा बड़ा, आती है ये सदा में सदमा बड़ा, जख्मी बदन को मेरे अदुने पोते को मेरे ज़र हलाल पिला दिया, पोते को मेरे ज़र हलाल पिला दिया, पोते को मेरे ज़र हलाल पिला दिया, हैरत है क्यों ज़मी पाना अर्शे उला गिरा, इस जुल्म से अमामे मुश्किल कुशा गिरा, अब्बासियों पर क्यों ना फलक जा बजा गिरा, बाला खाक ताज रसूल खुदा गिरा, बाला खाक ताज रसूल खुदा गिरा, सर अपना खोले सोग में आले रसूल ने जन्नत में सर से फेंक दी चादर बदूल ने, जन्नत में सर से फेंक दी चादर बदूल ने, लिखा है जब इमाम हुए आज़मे जिना, एक दफा सामरे में कयामत हुई आया, दौलत सराय शाह से आने लगी फुगा, लो मोमिनो यतीम हुए साहिबुल ज़मान, लो मोमिनो यतीम हुए साहिबुल ज़मान, सरगर्म जुल्म चारों तरफ बदखिसाल है और है फैके में दिए दी खुर्दसाल और है फैके में दिए दी खुर्दसाल सायाना बाप का ना कोई भाई साथ है सर पर इमाम असर के बस हक की जात है इस बेपिदर की सिमत किसे इल्तिफात है अब शर्म अहले बैत की जरा के हाथ अब शर्म अहले बैत की जरा के हाथ लाशे के गिर्द शोर जो लाएगा मासूम फूट फूट के बाबा को रोता मासूम फूट फूट के बाबा को रोता मासूम फूट फूट के बाबा को रोता है अब इस तरह से अहले खबर करते हैं बयां मातम सरा में बीबियां करती थी ये फुगा नहला चुके जो लाशे मौलाए दो जहां कफनाया उसको रखते मुताहर के दरमियां कफनाया उसको रखते मुताहर के दरमियां आवाज आई फातिमा के शोरो शैन की सब शिया रोए बेकफनी पर सब शिया रोए बेकफनी पर सब शिया रोए बेकफनी पर हुसैन के सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद शहीदो जहां खुदा हाफिज मोहम्मद की जान मोहम्मद की जान हम शबी नबी हुसैन के लाल अकबर नौजवान अकबर नौजवान शहीदी के तश्न लब यावर असगर बेज़बान खुदा असगर बेज़बान फेरने वाले खुश्क होठों पर अपनी सूखी ज़बान अपनी सूखी ज़बान पाए माले गमो अलम कासिम जाओ शब्बर की जाओ शब्बर की अलमदारे फौज अब्बास अली नशा अली के नशा हो चुकी नवाज खत्म मेहमानी शिया के मेहमान शिया के मेहमान खुदा सो गुजारो बुका का मकाम है अब रुखसते हुसैन अलैहि सलाम है मेहमान तुम्हारा जाता है जो तश्न काम है सर पीटो खाकुड़ाओं के मातम तमाम सर पीटो खाकुड़ाओं के मातम तमाम अब वो सदाए हाय हुसैन आएगी घर तुम्हारे फातिमा घर में तुम्हारे फातिमा घर में तुम्हारे फातिमा ज़हरा ऐशा है करमाला तेरी खिदमत हो सकी कुश्ता जफा तेरी खिदमत हो सकी जाने फातिमा तेरी खिदमत हो सकी मेहमान नवा तेरी मेहमान नवा तेरी खिदमत हो सके जी भर के रो सके ना ये गर्दिश नसीब की मजलिस आखिरी मजलिस आखिरी मजलिस आखिरी हुसैन अगले बरस हुसैन मुहर्रम में आएंगे बाकी रही आया तो ये गम मनाएंगे और फातिमा के लाल पा आंसू बहाएंगे घर मर गए तो खबर में घर मर गए तो खबर में हम घर मर गए तो खबर में हम खाकुड़ा तैयार काफिला है शहे मशरक़ैन का लो करबला को जाता है लो करबला को जाता है से मावफाली अकबर न जाए झूले को खाली छोड़ के असर न जाए लेकर बारात काशी में बेपर न जाए वीरा मकान होता है वीरा मकान होता है सरवर वीरा मकान होता है सरवर न जा आई सदा न रो आजादार आएंगे फिर अगले साल अपने भरे घर को ला फिर अगले साल अपने भरे घर को ला आएंगे बेशेन फातिमा है ना आंसू बहाओ तो मैं जा रहा हूँ रोके न मुझको रुलाओ तो जहमत ना हो तो मेरी जियारत को आओ तो तुरबत पे आके अश्कों की चादर चढ़ा मैं जो करबला में मेरे पास आएंगे सबकी पेशवाई को अब्बास उन सबकी पेशवाई को अब्बास आएंगे विदा होता है रुख सत्य ताशना का तुम रो रहे हो माहे मुहर्रम से सुबह शाम कौसर पाप ने हाथ से दूंगा मैं भर के जाओ रुखसात हुसैन होता है रुखसात हुसैन होता है तुम पर मेरा दोनों जहां में खुश रहो और शाद तुम रहो अम्मा दुआएं देती है अम्मा दुआएं देती है अम्मा दुआएं देती है आशिको हुसैन के आओ बुका करो जहरा का साथ दो मदद मुस्तफा करो हक़ मोहब्बत शहे बेकस अदा करो पूछा हुसैन का मैं सब कुछ हुसैन का मैं शर्मा पा करो लो अब विदा कीजिए आले रसूल को दो हुसैन का पुरसा हुसैन का पुरसा हुसैन का पुरसा बतो ऐसा है करबला मौला सलाम लो हम बेकसों के वालियो मौला सलाम लो आका सलाम लो शहवाला है फातिमा के चांद हमारा है फातिमा के चांद हमारा सलाम रुखसत ये आखिरी है दिल अफगार आए हैं मौला सलाम लो या ज़रा मौला सलाम लो या ज़रा मौला सलाम लो या ज़रा आए हैं
Assalamu alaikum मोमिन मोमिना वेरी पेनफुली अय्याम अज़ा 2023 की ये आज आखिरी अलविदाई मजलिस है। मजलिस के बाद शबीह ताबूत भी बरामद होगा और मजलिस के बाद नियाज के बाद एक डिस्कशन प्रोग्राम है मौलाना असद जाफरी साहब का साहब यूथ्स ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं और आप सबसे इस प्रोग्राम में शिरकत की रिक्वेस्ट है। एक सूरह फातिहा की गुजारिश है शहदा इस्लाम के लिए, मौलाना के मरहुमीन के लिए और सारे वॉलंटियर्स जो कोई भी इमाम बारगाह में खिदमत कर रहे हैं, उन सब के मरहुमीन के लिए और इन मरहुमीन के लिए मरहूम ज़हूर हसनैन, कनीस फ़ातिमा, ज़फ़र फ़ातिमा, इक़्तिदार हुसैन, कमर फ़ातिमा, महदी अली, हादी इमाम, मरहुमीन ऑफ सैयद अली मज़हर एंड रबाब फैमिली, मरहुमीन ऑफ मीर मोहम्मद अली फैमिली, मरहुमीन ऑफ काजिम मीर हादी फैमिली, मरहुमीन ऑफ अकार मिर्ज़ा, मरहुमीन ऑफ अल महदी वॉलंटियर्स। सूरह मुबारक फातिहा। सलवात बर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद। आप लोग थोड़ा सा नज़दीक आ जाइए ताकि बाद में आने वालों के लिए आसानी हो।
फातिहा। बिस्मिल्लाह। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن، إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الإنسان إنك قادح إلى ربك قدحا ملاقيه. صدق الله العلي العظيم. We first of all send our condolences to the Imam of our time on the Shahadat of his father, our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. With the hopes that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises us with the Imam of our time, places us beside him when he comes inshallah. May we be an aid, a helper, inshallah, the Ansar of the Imam. The 11th Imam was born on the 8th of Rabi al-Thani on the year 232 AH in Medina. Was Shaheed on the 8th of Rabi al-Awwal 260 AH. He only lived for 28 years, of which 6 of them he was an Imam. His laqab of Al-Askari comes from the fact that Askar means an army town, a military town, where many soldiers would reside. That's where he lived most of his life. This was an Imam who was imprisoned by the Bani Abbasid Khulafa, and an Imam who laid down a very important institution for us that we benefit from and we rely on today, and that is marjiyat. What he was adamant about, our 11th Imam, was the fact that he knew that his son would come and go into Ghaibat al-Sughra initially after 5 years, and then eventually Ghaibat al-Kubra and leave the Shi'as like you and I without the Imam being hadir and accessible. And so what he would do is he would train the Shi'as to exist and to survive your Iman and to keep it afloat without the Imam being present in front of you. So sometimes the 11th Imam would go into Ghaibat al-Sughra himself for a few months, even for a few years. Before he would do that, he would train, educate, elevate certain students of his, and train his Shias. Any fiqhi masal you have, any questions you have of the Sharia, khums, zakat, whatever the case may be, if you can't find me or you can't access me, this individual, that individual, this individual is ready. And by all means, whatever they say, it's as if I have said it as well. In the process now, asking them to do taqleed, even though the Imam was with them as well. This process, of course, is alive today, and if we are even close to having the deen alive today, its head above water, we owe that to our Maraji Ikram. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our Maraji healthy, inshallah, safe and protected, and to give them a long life, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. One of his most beautiful statements of our 11th Imam is a good segue into my topic. When he describes the arrival of his son, he describes those people who will have the honor of being beside the Imam when he comes. And he says there are people who have two specific qualities. They will believe in Allah on two major principles. Their belief in Allah will be aqli and qalbi. Will be both from the intellect and also from the heart as well. For the past 3 nights now, all of you have been with me, some of you have been with me, and you know that I have been trying to establish the fact that after 2 months and 8 days of Ayyam Azah, we have to go through a little bit of a process of a muhasabah. To stop and ask ourselves, what have I gained from 68 nights of the Adha of Sayyid al-Shahadat? Have I gotten any better? Has my family elevated? Have we as a community elevated? Has my heart become softer? Has my tongue become a little bit less sharp? Am I quick to forgive each other? Or do I hold grudges even more so after 68 nights of Sayyid al-Shahadat? Otherwise, God forbid, we reduce this to an annual custom, to some rusumat that we've been doing for generations. But really what it should be an avenue of inqilab, an avenue of revolution, at the least a little bit of islah in our character. And that's for me to figure out, that's for all of you to figure out. But as we are here on the last official majlis of this Ayyam Azad, the days of mourning, it's a good chance to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you and help myself to go through this muhasabah process. We've been talking about the idea that there is a distance that exists between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I have presented to you many verses of the Quran that talk about the fact that there is a constant journeying towards Allah. We are always in the halat of safar or hijrat towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ila rabbika, towards your Lord, the Quran says time and time again. Meaning what? That Allah is our destination and we are constantly moving towards that destination. And we won't reach there, of course, in this world. We'll reach there, inshallah, when the liqa of Allah happens. It's a different topic altogether. So I've been talking about the idea that in this dunya, while we live in this world of distractions and tests, azmayish, imtihanat, all these things that are to pull us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to carve our own path back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we left Him in the alam al-dhar, we were right beside Him. Alastu bi rabbi qalu bala. There's no distance that is being described there in those verses of the Quran. Allah says, I asked you, am I not your Lord? You said, yes, we witness. There was no distance there in the Quran. But yet when He was revealed, or when He revealed us or sent us down into this world, then that distance from us to Him now begins to take form. And we are in this world trying to bridge that gap between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Find my own specific path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned time and time again, one of the biggest blessings we have to bridge this gap in a very quick way, is the Azar of Sayyid al-Shuhada. This should be a path, a sirat, a sabil, a tariq to get us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mentioned Abu Fazl's example yesterday and last night. This was a man who was what? Who had the blood of Imam Ali in his heart. The love of Imam Hussein was very severe in his heart. It was almost as if he was obsessed with Imam Hussein. And yet when Imam Hussein told him that, Abbas, we are not here for an offensive war, he put his sword away. He submitted to his path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It wasn't just the idea that one brother loves another brother. That's natural. It wasn't just the idea that one Shia is following his Imam. It was something deeper than that. That he found, Abu Fazl did, in Imam Hussein, a path, a tariq to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I continue to tread this path of Hussein towards Allah, then that is my salvation. We find that on the plains of Karbala. Do you and I find that on the Farsh Azza or not? That's a question for you and I to answer. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. Now, I can't leave you after 4 nights without some sort of a practical conversation. And so today we studied a little bit about the idea of what is a practical idea of Sayd and Suluk. I'm sure you've heard these terms many times from the member in your own readings, mashallah, that you know that we are someone who is a constant salik, a constant musafir, traveling constantly. Are there stages of that travel? Yes, there is. And I want to present to you those stages tonight, inshallah. Keeping in mind that it's a night of the tabut, there's matam happening, the discussion happening. I have not read past 45 minutes, I won't go any longer than that as well. Plus there's niyaz. I can't compete with niyaz as much as I like to try, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So let's begin at the very bottom. The Urafa now have broken up Islam and Iman into 2 stages. Islam is Saghir, Islam is Kabir. Iman is Saghir, Iman is Kabir. Very simple. Not too technical. Islam Saghir, a very basic Islam, a verbal Islam, a document Islam. You claim that Allah is one, and you claim in the prophethood of the Holy Prophet being what? Khatm al-Nabuwat, the seal of the Prophet. A Muslim is considered a Muslim if he or she believes the Prophet of Allah is the last of prophets. Anyone who believes there's a prophet after the Prophet of Allah is kharij as the deen. Is no longer considered to be a Muslim. On paper. We can't eat their food, we can't marry them, etc., etc. That's Islamic Saghir. I'm going very quickly. Islamic Kabir is when you actually begin to read up on that. And you actually begin to, at an aqli stage, believe what La ilaha illallah means. You actually begin to adopt the seerah of the Holy Prophet, albeit at a very, very low level. It becomes a very zahiri deen, right? The beard starts to grow in. The hijab starts to tighten up. A salat becomes regular. Sawm and fasting is a month of Ramadan. You begin to recite the Quran. You go for your hajj. That's Islamic Kabir. It's a very zahir deen. It's a deen that's apparent. You can tell by the way this person is dressed sometimes, they're Muslim. Right? That's Islamic Kabir. And then the level higher than that, where you and I want to be, is Iman Saghir, Iman Kabir. We pride ourselves on being the mu'mineen. We're not Muslims, we are mu'mineen. And I want to establish the difference tonight. But from the Quran, from the qawl of the Ma'soom. Keeping in mind that my topic is that we have to find that internal path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Move away from a zahiri deen, go towards a batini deen. Let's not be those the Quran says, وَلَهُمْ قَلُوبًا لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They had hearts. They had all the tools to go deep inside the deen, but they were shallow believers. They were okay with the bare minimum. They left all the deep stuff for the ulama or other individuals. I'm okay with the bare minimum. I've been doing it for 40 years, Maulana. I'll do for 40 more, no problem. But this idea of me now elevating towards Allah, even for 1 step, that's not for me, it might be for somebody else. God forbid we become like that. Until our last breath, we have to be constantly seeking that path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unwan al-Basri, a very quick example, a 96, 94-year-old, some say, at the door of Imam Sadiq, begging our 6th Imam, in his 90s to teach me everything about the deen. We don't have a retirement age when it comes to the ma'rifat of the deen inside of us. It's not that whatever I know at 65, I know. Ab Zamalam Guzaragya Maulana, Ab Chodi some name about the who will do all that stuff. I heard enough, I'm good enough. Inshallah, my Mahal and Jannah is waiting for me. It's not that simple. Let's not let shaitan come in and ruin that process. We should be always having what? Is aqlul fa'al, an active aql. I'm seeking out paths of ilm constantly. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, Islam is Saghir, Islamic Kabir is easy to describe. Why? It's tangible. There's hair on the face. There's a fabric on your head. You're doing ruku and sujood in the mihrab. You're reading the Quran. There's a book in front of you, reading it. Iman is not so simple. Let's come to the Quran. Surah Hujurat. Surah Hujurat, by the way, the 49th chapter, encompassing chapter on the akhlaq of Islam. If you want to know how the Quran wants you and I to behave, just examine those 18 verses. It's enough. If you want to know what Islam expects from you when it comes to your ethics and your values, those verses are enough for us. Books have been written. Tafsir have been written. All sorts of material online. English, Urdu alike. In this beautiful surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now relays a moment between the Jahil, the Bedouin Arabs, and the Holy Prophet of Islam. قَالَتَ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. It's a verse you've heard before, but I want you to hear it in light of my past 3 lectures. The Arabs say that we are the mu'mineen. Amanna, we have Iman. And right away the Prophet of Allah says, قُل, tell them, say yourself, لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. Tell yourself, you don't have Iman. Instead say that we have surrendered. We're Muslims. You're not quite at the mu'mineen level. لَمَّا يُدْخِلُ الْإِيمَانِ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. That this Iman that you're after, this status of the mu'min that you're after, only enters the heart. It resides in a very batini, esoteric world. It cannot be seen by others. It's a halat duruni that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see and understand. That, first of all, we understand there are levels and stages. It's impossible that a mu'min claims to be a mu'min without being a Muslim first. We have to first look the part, bidahir, then travel inside towards the batin. We have to first be able to physically look the part. If the beard is wajib on us, it's wajib on us. And yes, by the way, you will argue, and you've had very, very wisely, that it's not wajib to grow a beard, Maulana. It's haram to shave a beard. MashaAllah, you're absolutely right. No doubt about that. Because some people can't grow beards. But I've seen people, MashaAllah, there's hair there. Just a little bit of line here, one line here, you're there. That's all I ask, inshallah. At least look the part. Let's be sure our salat is regular. Let's make sure that our fasts are regular. Let's make sure the Quran is part of our life. That's simple. I don't want to go down that road. We can't enter the level of Iman without passing through Islamic Saghir and Islamic Kabir. That's obvious to all of you. Let's move on. Let's come to a hadith. Remember, we have the wahi of Allah, Surah Hujurat. Let's come to the qawl of the Ma'soom. We believe in thaqalain, correct? 2 weighty things. We believe in Kitab Allah wa itati Ahlul Bayti. These 2 things are very important. When both of them are discussed in both avenues, it really makes the discussion muhkam and strong. Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. Compares Iman and Islam. And I'll tell you exactly why I brought this topic up tonight. He says, Al-Imanu, I'm being asked to, if you can all please move a little bit forward, please, with one loud salawat. Those who are by the door, you can come a little bit to my left here, please, if you don't mind.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
to be included amongst those who are the true azadas of Imam Hussein. One loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He says, Al-Imanu irfa'u min al-Islam. Iman is at a higher level than Islam is. I'm not comparing a mu'min to a Muslim. I'm comparing the level of Iman to a level of Islam. This is not a shaksi conversation. It's not a talk about personalities. That so-and-so is a Muslim, so they're lower than so-and-so being a Muslim. Let's not play that game. Let's look inside of us to find out which one am I. Am I a document Muslim? Sign here, please. Or am I an amali mu'min? That's up for me to decide. This hadith helps. Iman is higher than Islam. Then he describes it. And these are simple sentences, but they have such deep meaning. Only as the Ahlul Bayt can do. Their fasahat and balaghat is incredible. They will use very short amount of words, but they shake your foundation, those words, I tell you. He says, and he first describes Iman. He says, Al-Imanu yusharikul Islamu fi batin. Iman and Islam in the batin, in the zahir is mushtarik. They are together, they're the same. A mu'min and a Muslim side by side, they both pray, they both read Quran, they both have a beard, they both look the part. Now, I'm not talking about hands open, hands closed. Again, that's not a discussion. I'm saying you put these two together, on the outside, they look like they're the exact same. Al-Imanu yusharikul Islamu fi zahir. Let me get the hadith right. That Iman and Islam fi zahir, on the outside, is what is mushtarik. They're together. He says, Wali al-Islam la yusharikul imanu fi batin. Islam is not the same level of Iman when it comes to a batini conversation inside your heart. So where I want us to understand, where we're trying to get to, is the idea that my Iman, and we all claim to have Iman. We pride ourselves in being part of those, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in the Quran. But what is that ma'yar? What is that condition? Right? What is it that we have? Of course, it's a tashkiki conversation. There's darajat, there's degrees and levels to Iman, no doubt. But where Imam Sadiq is saying where your Iman starts is not on the outside of you. It's on the inside of you. It's a state of your heart. When the same Imam says, Al-qalbu haram Allah, fala tuskin haram Allah ghayrullah, that the heart is a sanctuary of God. And we don't allow anything to reside in that heart or that sanctuary except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question is, does my heart right now host Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? Is my heart salim and sahih enough? Have I told Allah, Allah, here are the keys to my heart? Go, you go up the second floor, room 202, right there. That's your room right there. He goes inside, he sees, oh, there's everybody in here. There's grudges in here, there's nifaq in here, there's hatred in here, there's this in here. There's no room for me here. So he walks away. Or he opens the door of your heart, he sees it's an empty heart. He comes in, he moves in, and it becomes a heart that's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The level of Iman, where we want our muhasabah to start, what we should be gaining from the Farishta Azah, is that our Iman should be increasing. That Iman increasing is not the Islam increasing. That's already there. It shouldn't be that some switch is turning off and on when Ayam Azah starts and Ayam Azah is over. It's not that fine. The Majlis of Imam Hussein have ended tonight. But those principles of Imam Hussein continue. It's not that now all of a sudden now I can put these black clothes away and now turn the switch off of Islam and live my life how I wish, how I want to, until the month of Ramadan. It doesn't work like that. The idea here is that we have to carry forward those principles that we learned in 2 months and 8 days. It becomes a platform to live on, not just a switch to turn off. Now all of a sudden, it should be a seamless transition. It shouldn't be that now all of a sudden my house goes upside down when Chan Rat of Muharram begins. Or the month of Ramadan begins, now all of a sudden now the abaya and hijabs come out. Now the Quran comes off the shelf. Now the janamazes come onto the living room. It shouldn't be that much of a difference. It should be seamless. Same with Ayam Azah. Fine, it's over tonight. It doesn't mean now that our house is turned upside down all of a sudden. And our social calendar now is mashallah here, I'll go here, I'll go here. Why? Muharram is over now. It's happy days. Let's turn on that happy meter. Let's not forget, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam says, that the Iman of a mu'min, not a Muslim, the Iman of a mu'min is tested in two areas. In extreme grief and extreme happiness. That's where we lose what the state of our heart is. It has to be that we tread this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether Ayam Azah is here or Ayam Azah from tomorrow is done. It should be that, fine, my grief is done, quote unquote, my happiness begins in either Zahra, for example. Now I can throw out all the rules now and go back to myself before Muharram, and now all of a sudden now my heart again is corrupt, my heart again, my tongue again is going here and going there, and I lose all these Husseini principles because Imam Hussein's Majlis is over. That's not the case at all. These are principles to live on throughout the year. This is the principles now for us to give tarbiyah to our soul and our hearts. This is why the heart is extremely important. Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, Allahumma salli ala. He talks about the fact, al-qarbu arba'a, there are 4 types of hearts, he says. Al-qalbu fihi nifaq wa iman, the first one. That heart that has both iman and nifaq in it. Al-qalbu mankus, al-qalbu matbu, al-qalbu azhar. These are all categories of the hearts I don't have time to describe. Each one requires an entire majlis. But the fact that he has to go through 4 categories of the heart. Remember, a mu'min's iman resides fil zahir, fil batin, not zahir. You can't show someone else your iman. You must show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that iman. That happens in seclusion. That happens when decisions are made with Allah in the forefront. Those decisions that are life decisions, who to marry, how to organize my marriage, where to take my family, how to talk to my spouse inside the home, how to raise my kids, for example. Who do I let inside my house, for example? Where do I invest my money? What profession do I include myself in? How do I express my anger? All these things are where? Fil batin, inside of you. That's where the tongue now what? The tongue dictates to, the heart dictates to the tongue what to say. All of those are signs of Iman, not signs of Islam. Islamic kabir is a very zahir deen. You can show it, but Iman is saghir and Iman is kabir. A true mu'min is something that is what? That's hidden from everybody else and only visible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's extremely important for us to understand. And that hidden reality is only have to constantly cleanse time and time again. The ultimate heart of a mu'min is al-qalb azhar. Azhar is the muzakkar of Zahra, meaning what? Illumination of a light. It's a light. Such a light that not only illuminates your path, but the path with the one beside you as well. That's what the Quran says. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. You were spiritually dead, Allah says. I gave you hayat, I gave you nur. I gave you light, I gave you life. And that light wasn't just meant for you to illuminate your own path. Take that light, يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. Walk amongst the people, such that if you see someone else in darkness, you illuminate their hearts. If you see someone else struggling, you stand beside them in their darkness. If you yourself are in darkness, then we follow that dhikr unisi. فَنَادَى فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ سُبْحَانَكَ إِنِّي كُنْتُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. No matter how dark it gets inside of my life, how dark inside my heart it gets, I never forget the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. These are talks we have to have with ourselves. Am I that Quranic principle, that Quranic mu'min? that says, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. That these are those mu'mineen that give. They give when things are tight. They give when things are a little bit now less tight. They give when the pocket is a little bit less empty. They give when the pocket, mashallah, is nice and full. But they give. Number one. كَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ. Not that you find an outlet for your anger. Instead of screaming at my parents, I scream at my pillow. No. Right? Instead of sitting confronting my parents, I stomp up the stairs. No. I slam the door. No. كَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ. Swallow the anger. Swallow the anger. It has no outlet. It's gone. Destroy it. Get rid of it. You don't feel the need. A mu'min doesn't feel the need to always win the battle, because they have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are moments where people can come and say whatever they want to me. And you feel like, oh my God, they're winning, Maulana. They say what they want to say. No, you don't. 1 second now. A mu'min is not one who always expresses their anger. It's a whole discussion in akhlaq. But sometimes you have to go through the experience, a very bitter one, a very hard one, of كَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ. When to fight, when to freeze, when to flight. When to stand there and defend yourself, when to remain quiet, when to walk away. That's the start, that's the state of the qalb inside of you. But there are some people, all they are, I'm sorry, and maybe I'm like that, God forbid, I'm a reflection of the akhlaq in front of me. That's not how the Ahlul Bayt were. We're talking about the states of your inner aql and your inner intellect and your inner qalb, not the zahir. Ayami azah, farshi azah, it's not a zahiri reality. It's a batini reality. How much did my heart gain from the grief of Imam Hussein? Yes, there's a zahir portion. Salam and Marsiya and Khitabat and Noha and Sinazani and Matam. No doubt about that. And that will remain forever. But what am I gaining in my batin when no one can see it? What am I gaining from this Farshi Azah? Those are difficult questions to ask. It begins in the zehn, it ends up in the heart. Because as Imam Sadiq says, Amal now does not simply end off with your arms. It starts off with you knowing something, accepting something, acting on what you accept. From your zehn to your qalb to your amal. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. See, the Ahlul Bayt would display their batin in beautiful ways. They display their Iman in beautiful ways. They have their set principles, they have their set akhlaq. They wouldn't rely or they wouldn't depend on the akhlaq of the person in front of them for their own akhlaq. Countless stories you've heard, especially my elders since you were a child, that a person in front of them would give them one akhlaq, they would never reflect that same akhlaq back onto them. Not never, they wouldn't usually. If it's something that they had to, for example, teach this individual, story of Imam Mustafa now, person coming in, insulting his family. If that was some of us, if that was me, someone comes and talks about my father, or my mother, God forbid, or my siblings, or my family, you Jafris, you Jafris, you Jafris. It's very difficult to tell the person, are you from Toronto? Do you have a place to stay? You look hungry. Do you want a bite to eat? You Jafris, you Jafris. I have a cup of chai. You want to break some tea with me? Break some bread with me? I have an extra room. You want to come and stay with me? Those bags are heavy. Should I carry them into your car? My nature is that I would give you 10 more bate about your family. That's simply my akhlaq. My batin, a reflection of their batin. My heart, a reflection of their heart. That's no good for us. Imam Ali would countless times say, I can outsmart Muawiyah any day. I'm smarter than him in all aspects. The problem is, or the issue is, or what I'm bound by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he's not. He's not bound by God, but I am bound by God. And what does that do? That forces me to sometimes walk away when I don't want to. Someone spewing fire at me, and the Ahlul Bayt would what? Would give them water in return. That's very hard. Someone spewing jahalat at me, the Ahlul Bayt will give them ilm back. Very hard. Somebody spewing, for example, all sorts of corrupt and fitna angeez things at me, I'm giving them adalat upon adalat. Very difficult. But what it is I have my own batin, I have my own qalb, I have my own heart, and I'm going to carry that everywhere I go. I'm not going to rely on your heart or your batin to come and dictate to my batin how I should act. There are some people that when there's fire in front of them, they become fire. When there is jahal in front of them, they become the jahil. When somebody has meaty batin, they become meaty themselves. All they are is a simple reflection. That's not someone who's working on their iman. It's a very low level. That's Islamic saghir. I'm sorry. We're trying to get to a level where the mu'min now is somebody who is visible on the outside and strong on the inside as well. Then we can expect to be a Husseini in nature. Imam Hussein, up until his last breath, would tell Shimr, Shimr, was I a bad Mawla to you? Shimr, did I not give you hidayat? On Shabi Ashur, asking Umar bin Saad, don't do what you're going to do tomorrow. Meaning up until his last night in this world, he never stopped being the Imam of the people, the Hadi of the people. He was bound by his own heart, bound by his own qalb. Even his last night, you come over Umar bin Saad, leave Hormala alone, leave Shimr alone. I won't bring Abbas, I won't bring Ali Akbar. Me and you in a tent, man to man. Let's have a conversation. Tomorrow is Ashura. You want to spill my blood? These are the ramifications if you spill my blood tomorrow. Imagine having that conversation as Umar bin Saad, sleeping that whole night, having the words of Imam Hussein echo inside your brain, waking up and still carrying out that heinous act. That's a dead heart. That's a heart that has nothing in it. But that same Umar bin Saad did what? He prayed salat after killing Imam Hussein. The heart is very important. It's the heart that we get. As I mentioned a couple of nights ago, Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam, Allahumma salli. Man jalasa majlisan yuhya fihi amruna lam yamut qalbuhu. The one who sits in a majlis where our affairs are talked about, the Ahlul Bayt are talked about. Our sayings are revived. Our sira is presented. People who sit in like all of you have for the past 68 nights. If an alim has done his job, and they do their job, mashallah, at least one hadith from the Ahlul Bayt. It's one point of fadayal. It's one point of tafakkur from the member. Inshallah, you got plenty of points. Imam Maulana says the one who sits in a gathering, lam yamut qalbuhu. Their hearts will never die. Are we seeing dead hearts in our communities? Are we seeing dead hearts in our marriages? Are we seeing dead hearts in the message we forward in our WhatsApp groups? I don't know. Is my heart dead or not? Am I a walking corpse, as Imam Ali would call in Najm Balagha? Their limbs on the outside work, but inside they're dead. Is that what we are aspiring to be? It's not. Because we will be asked. We will be asked. I made you that nation. That was the promise of a father to his daughter Fatima Zahra. There will be a nation. Salamullah alayha. There's a nation that will be born to grieve your son. That nation is you. It's all of us. It's our generation. It's these kids in front of me, and they'll continue to do all of that. What they derive from that is important. What they gather from that is important. We should be, as families, as individuals, as communities, as masajid, higher in our faith than we are today. We should have a little bit more respect for our tongue and our hearts than we do today. The same 11th Imam has a beautiful statement. A beautiful statement. He says, I wonder at a mu'min, I do ta'ajjub at a mu'min who seeks avenues to degrade themselves. Can you imagine? There's a whole discussion on Qadr Shanasi inside the deen. To know your value. To know who you are. I've talked about self-worth and self-worship 1,000 times on this member. There's a fine line between khud parasti and khud pasandi, they say in Farsi. Worshipping yourself and loving and accepting yourself. Islam says have self-worth. وَلَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah has honored you. Understand who you are and who you belong to. At the same time, don't have such an ego where you worship yourself. When you understand yourself, Imam Ali, beautiful statement. When you understand yourself, your desires become your enemy. Oh. Why do your desires become your enemy? Because those desires look to do what? Look to bring you down from the maqam that you have as Allah's makhluk. The biggest dhulm done to Imam Hussein is not a physical dhulm, I'm sorry. It's a maqami dhulm on Imam Hussein. Right? وَلَعْنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً دَفَعَتْكُمْ عَنْ مَقَامِكُمْ, we say, Jafri Ashura. That la'nat on that nation that brought you down from your maqam. It's not that dhulm was done to Hussein. It was that dhulm was done to Imam Hussein. The same Imam, that's the son of Ghadir. 12 days before Muharram we gather and celebrate Ghadir. 1 week before Muharram we again gather to celebrate Mubahila. In each of those events, Imam Hussein, the son of Ghadir, Imam Hussein, the grandson of Mubahila. That man should not have been denied water. That man should not have been disrespected. That man should not have been killed the way he was killed. It's a maqami sacrifice. You don't know who I am. It shouldn't be that Bibi Zainab Zainabiyya is screaming at Umar bin Saad, Hada al-Hussein. Do you not know who this is? From the Fajr of Ashura all the way until he entered the Matal of Karbala, Imam Hussein time and time again would ask, do you not know who I am? Am I not the son of the daughter of your prophet? The first wasila, the first rishta, he says, I'm the son of Fatima. That Hussein was trampled by 10 horses. Such a maqam he had. And these people, thousands on the plains of Karbala, brought him down from his maqam. And it hurts. It's dhulm. But the question I have for me, a very bitter question I have for me up here, maybe all of you, is do I have a maqam in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Am I not that individual in Nija'alun fil ard al-Khalifa? Allah not see khilafat inside all of us? Am I not that individual? Allah says, through you, the insan, I want others to know who I am. If I want to become ma'lum, I'll use you, the insan. Do we not have a maqam? Absolutely we have a maqam. The question is, if those individuals pulled Imam Hussein down from his maqam, who's pulling us down from our maqam? Are we doing it ourselves? Are we allowing our tongues to spew fire out that's not munasib for someone like me? When Allah is asking Nabi Musa, when you speak to Fir'aun, talk to him with a soft tone, a soft tongue, not because Fir'aun deserves that tone, because you're Musa alayhi salam, you're an Ulul Azam prophet, you're up here. Don't allow someone like Fir'aun to pull you from your maqam. Understand your worth. Know who you are. You've been given the gift of this Farsh Azah, and will be asked, what did I do with this gift? And if all we did, I'm sorry, was memorize a few marsiyas and a few bruises on my chest and not elevate myself to become a Husseini in principle and in akhlaq and behavior, then I haven't extracted everything I wanted to extract from the Farsh Azah. Our dua, you heard Razabai, our dua is simple. They just give us one more year of life to again gather and again cry from Imam Hussein. Not just because we actually celebrate this grief of Imam Hussein. We look forward to it. We find contentment in this grief, but give me one more chance of becoming a Husseini in nature, such that my zahir cries for Hussein and my batin displays Imam Hussein. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. This is the muhasabah I need from myself first and foremost, maybe for all of you. That revolution should happen every single year. Imagine where we'd be as a Shia nation if we can go through this every single year. I'm not saying people don't. There are people who have told me this Muharram has been revolutionary. I said, alhamdulillah, may Allah give you more. No doubt about that. But what comes to my desk, what comes on my phone, our divorce rates are skyrocketing. Our kids are questioning everything about our deen today. Those things that we never thought would question. Our communities are in shambles. We have to be better than this. We have too much to not be better than this. We're not somebody who doesn't have any form of guidance. We have avenues upon avenues to get back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All this ila rabbika in the Quran. Your return is back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those paths have been given to us. These kids last night in the Shahadat, some kids don't know a word of Urdu. They don't know, they can't converse one line of Urdu, but they would memorize 3, 4, 5 verses in Roman Urdu just so they can be on that stage. Maybe to have my name written down on the day of judgment and show Fatima Zahra that, look, I read a noha for your son, Shehzadi, on the day of judgment. That's an incredible avenue. That love is incredible, and we have all the tools. We just need to execute a little bit better. And then you watch us grow, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. The threat that a very young Imam Askari now posed to Mu'tamid and the Bani Abbasids was to the point where they imprisoned this man. They kept him away from his Shi'as. You know, the Bani Umayyads were different when it came to the Ahlul Bayt. The Bani Abbasids were different also when it came to the Ahlul Bayt. The way the Bani Umayyads treated the Ahlul Bayt was through character assassination. Making sure that whenever you stood on the pulpit, whenever you were in the mosque, you had something to say, you would first have to send la'anat on Ali for 98 years. That was all Muawiyah had left. Couldn't bring Ali down with the sword, couldn't bring Ali down in the Maidan of the Aql and intelligence. All he could do was hope, if I drag this man's name in the mud long enough, then the Awam will khud ba khud move away from them. And Imam Hussein's reaction to that was what? I'll name all my sons Ali, one by one by one. If I had 100 sons, I'd name them all Ali, one by one. That's what the Bani Umayyads would do. Convince the so-called Ashab of Imam Mujtaba in the middle of the war, in the middle of the day, to leave him, forcing our Imam to do sulah with someone like Muawiyah. Placing fear and shock inside the hearts of those who were supposed to write letters to Imam Hussein, to the point where only 130 samad were there for the grandson of their prophet against 30,000. It's a black mark on the history of Islam and the Muslims. But the Bani Abbasids were different. They would divide and physically move the Imam away from the followers with the hopes that out of sight, out of mind, that if the Shi'as in Medina didn't have their Imam, he was in Samarra, they would leave the deen altogether. And only a chosen few, very strong group in Medina, kept their connection with Imam Askari, even though he was in Samarra. A lesson for you and I. Our Imam is not mawjood. He's not with us. He's not accessible. But we have to be strong in his absence. Act as if he's with us. Prepare the grounds for his arrival. They did everything they could. But the more they tried to imprison the man and isolate the man, the more his popularity and his impact grew now amongst the people of Samarra. They would send people to the jails of Imam Askari to distract him from God. Instead of being distracted from God, they became God-fearing in the presence of our 11th Imam. Until finally what happens? Mu'tamid poisons our 11th Imam. You should know, 11 Imams were shaheed, 10 Imams were poisoned. Imam Ali was struck with the sword, no doubt. It was the zahar and the poison on the sword that killed Amir al-Mu'mineen. The lone man to be killed without poison is my Muslim Mawla Hussein ibn Ali on the plains of Karbala. When Shimr bin Dhul-Jawshan, and I'm sorry, when Shimr bin Dhul-Jawshan began his 13 strikes against the neck of Imam Hussein was alive at that moment. It's not like he killed Hussein and then beheaded him. He was alive as he was beheading Imam Hussein. And on the lips of Hussein was the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I will say this much to you, 11th Imam, your son came at the age of 5, read your salat, You were washed, your body was washed, your body was wrapped, you were buried with such ta'zeem and respect in Samara. Right now, thousands and millions go to your ziyarat. You have the honor of having your son wash your body and lead that salat, but come to Karbala. There's a son there as well. Imam Shahadat now will sit there on the 11th of Muharram, and this qafla now is ready to go towards Kufa and Sham. Bibi Zainab says that Imam Shahadat came off his camel and went towards the trampled body of his father Hussein, sat there by his head and began to cry for his father and cry for his father. Bibi Zainab is watching Imam Shahadat. His face now is changing colors. She realizes that he's not well. He's sick. Something might happen to him. Bibi Zainab falls off the camel. Go towards Imam Shahadat. Hey Shahadat, it's time to go towards Kufa and Sham. She stands him up. Imam Shahadat looks at Bibi Zainab. Tears rolling down his face. Hey Papi Allah, let's go towards Kufa and Sham. But answer me one question. Have you ever seen a son who's alive but doesn't bury his father the way that I'm leaving my father? Unburied on the plains of Karbala. It's the last Majlis. This is the Alwidai Majlis. Don't hold back your tears. All we ask is that Shahadat accept one tear of ours after 68 days. All we ask is that when I lose a brother of mine, I move towards Karbala. I remember that moment that Abu Fazl Abbas, Assalamu alayka, Ya Abu Abdullah. Hussein goes running to Abbas, cleans his dirt, cleans his blood. Hey Abbas, after you, my back is broken. When a father loses a Jawan son, our house will go to Karbala. Hey Ali Akbar. Hussein would say, Aina Anta Ali, Aina Anta Ali. Where are you, Ali Akbar? Hey Ya Bunayya, I'm right here. Hey Baba, Ya Abata, I'm right here. When a niece loses her uncle Chacha, we remember Sakina watching the alam go down and go up, go down and go up. Anytime, any tragedy, we promise you, Hussein, we remember every sacrifice. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Fatima Hussein.
सामरे में गुल है बपा है, सामरे में गुल है बपा है, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा है, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा है, सामरे में गुल है बपा है, सामरे में गुल है बपा है, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा है, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा है, ज़हर दगा से किया जालिम ने क़त्ल, ज़हर दगा से किया जालिम ने क़त्ल, आपको बेजुर्म खता है, आपको बेजुर्म खता है, सामरे में गुल है बपा है, सामरे में गुल है बपा है, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा है, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा है, साये पाके शहादी हशर, साये पाके शहादी हशर, मोमिनों के सर से उठाए, मोमिनों के सर से उठाए, सामरे में गुल है बपा है, सामरे में गुल
गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। कहते हैं सर पीट के साहिब ज़मा, कहते हैं सर पीट के साहिब ज़मा, वाह बता ऐसा मेरे में गुल है बापा, ऐसा मेरे में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। अहले हरम रोते हैं सर पीट कर, अहले हरम रोते हैं सर पीट कर, बाहर से महबूब खुदा, बाहर से महबूब खुदा, ऐसा मेरे में गुल है बापा, ऐसा मेरे में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। कुछ न किया पास इमाम ज़मा, कुछ न किया पास इमाम ज़मा, बैत शरफ लूट लिया, बैत शरफ लूट लिया, गए बिन बाप के सहाय, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। हो गए बिन बाप के साहिब ज़मा, हो गए बिन बाप के साहिब ज़मा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, हाय हाय सामरे में गुल है बापा, हाय हाय सामरे में गुल है बापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। ज़हर दगा से किया जालिम ने कत्ल, ज़हर दगा से किया जालिम ने कत्ल, आपको बेजुर्म खता, आपको बेजुर्म खता, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। अहले हरम रोते हैं सर पीट कर, अहले हरम रोते हैं सर पीट कर, बाहर से महबूब खुदा, बाहर से महबूब खुदा, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा। हो गए बिन बाप के साहिब ज़मा, हो गए बिन बाप के साहिब ज़मा, सफा 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 सफा, सामने में गुल है बापा, सामने में गुल है बापा, अस्करी ने की है क़ज़ा, अस्करी अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी है की है कज़ा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय हाय अहले हरम रोते हैं सर पीट कर, अहले हरम रोते हैं सर पीट कर, बारिश महबूब खुदा हाय हाय, बारिश महबूब खुदा हाय हाय, सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय कुछ न किया पास इमाम ज़मा, कुछ न किया पास इमाम ज़मा, बैत शरफ लूट लिया हाय हाय, बैत शरफ लूट लिया हाय हाय, सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, अहरे दगा से किया जालिम ने कत्ल, अहरे दगा से किया जालिम ने कत्ल, आपको बेजुर्म पता है हाय, आपको बेजुर्म पता है हाय, सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, हाय कुछ न किया पास इमाम ज़मा, कुछ न किया पास इमाम ज़मा, बैत शरफ लूट लिया हाय, बैत शरफ लूट लिया हाय, हो गए बिन बाप के साहिब ज़मा, हो गए बिन बाप के साहिब ज़मा, वाह सफा हाय हाय, वाह सफा हाय, सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय सामरे में गुल है पापा, हाय अस्करी ने की है कज़ा, अस्करी ने की है कज़ा,
हुसैन या हुसैन,
या हुसैन 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 महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी। रंजो आलम में डूबा नरजिस का लाडला है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है। महदी के सर पे आई 10 तारे अस्करी है। बरमास ना दे इमाम फरजांद आखिरी है। या रब हो खैर इसकी फरियाद फातिमा है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला। सूखे लबों से गश में पानी तलब किया जो होठों से जाम क्यों कई वापस पलट दिया वो। क्या याद अस्करी को आबा से आ गया है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है। रंजो आलम में डूबा नरजिस का लाडला है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा है अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा खाके यतीमी सर में सिन 5 साल लोगों ग़ैबत में जा रहा है नरजिस का लाल लोगों। नूरे इमाम ओझल नजरों से हो रहा है मौला अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है अस्करी। महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला। आई है फौज घर से महदी को आज लेने। दर फातिमा का खोला फिर ठोकरे लगा के। हाथों में तेग कोई शोले लिए खड़ा है मौला अस्करी महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है महदी के सर से साया का उठ गया है रंजो अलम में डूबा नार जिसका लाडला है मौला अस्करी महदी के सर से बाबा का उठ गया है किस आबरू से बेटा मैयत उठा रहा है खुद बाप का जनाजा महदी पढ़ा रहा है ज़हरा को याद आई आबिद के करबला है मौला अस्करी महदी के सर से उठ गया है मौला रंजो अलम में डूबा नार जिसका लाडला है मौला अस्करी महदी बाबा का उठ गया है मौला महदी को कोई पुरसा देता गले लगा के ग़ैबत में अस्करी की फर्शे आज़ा बिछा के अब्बास को कभी वो ज़ैनब को ढूंढता है मौला अस्करी महदी के सच बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला अस्करी महदी के सर से साया बाबा का उठ गया है मौला कितना इलाही उसकी ग़ैबत में तूल होगा पर्दे में कब तलक वो नरगिस का फूल होगा इज़्ने ज़हूर हो अब दिल की यही दुआ है मौला अस्करी बाबा का उठ गया है
या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले 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 लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने कर से पानी को जो कौसर के पिलाने वाले तर से पानी को जो कौसर के पिलाने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले हो गई शाम उन्हें शाम के बाजारों में, हो गई शाम उन्हें शाम के बाजारों में। एक बीमार को लाखों है सताने वाले, एक बीमार को लाखों है सताने वाले। लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले। हज़्म शबीर को देखा तो पुकार उठे खलील, हज़्म शबीर को देखा तो पुकार उठे खलील। मरहबा लाशाए अकबर को उठाने वाले, मरहबा लाशाए अकबर को उठाने वाले। लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले। रो के कहती थी सकीना मेरे चाचा हो कहाँ, रो के कहती थी सकीना मेरे चाचा हो कहाँ। लौट कर आए नहीं पानी पिलाने वाले, लौट कर आए नहीं पानी पिलाने वाले। लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले। पानी तक तूने न मांगा मेरे मज़लूम हुसैन, पानी तक तूने न मांगा मेरे मज़लूम हुसैन। है वो खंजर से प्यास अपनी बुझाने वाले, है वो खंजर से प्यास अपनी बुझाने वाले। लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले, लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले। अलविदा 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 ऐ हुसैन, अलविदा 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 ऐ हुसैन, अलविदा 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 ऐ हुसैन, अलविदा अलविदा ऐ हुसैन, अलविदा 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 ऐ हुसैन, अलविदा ये सदाए फुगा और ये मजलिसे, ये सदाए फुगा और ये मजलिसे, मातम नौहा और गम की ये जीनते, मातम नौहा और गम की ये जीनते, चाहता है ये दिल यूं ही कायम रहे, चाहता है ये दिल यूं ही कायम रहे, आह फटता है दिल किस तरह ये कहे, अलविदा 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 हुसैन, अलविदा मेरे मेहमान है आखिरी ये सलाम, मेरे मेहमान है आखिरी ये सलाम, तुझ पे कुर्बान है आखिरी ये सलाम, तुझ पे कुर्बान है आखिरी ये सलाम, शाह ज़ीशान है आखिरी ये सलाम, शाह ज़ीशान है आखिरी ये सलाम, दिल है वीरान है आखिरी ये सलाम, मोमिनो गम की ये आखिरी रात है, मोमिनो गम की ये आखिरी रात है, दीदाए नम की ये आखिरी रात है, दीदाए नम की ये आखिरी रात है, इश्क़ फ़हम की ये आखिरी रात है, इश्क़ फ़हम की ये आखिरी रात है, शह के मातम की ये आखिरी रात है, अलविदा 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 बख्श दे हो गई हो जो कोई खता, बख्श दे हो गई हो जो कोई खता, हक़ खिदमत ना हमसे अदा हो सका, हक़ खिदमत ना हमसे अदा हो सका, गम यही है ना जी भर के मातम किया, गम यही है ना जी भर के मातम किया, तेरी खातिर न क्यों अपना सर दे दिया, अलविदा 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 हुसैन, अलविदा गर जिए साल भर फिर करेंगे ये गाम, गर जिए साल भर फिर करेंगे ये गाम, रोएंगे फिर तेरे गम में मिलकर बहार, रोएंगे फिर तेरे गम में मिलकर बहार। और अगर मर गए तो ये होगा अलाम, और अगर मर गए तो ये होगा अलाम। हाय अफसोस जी भर के रोए ना, अलविदा 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 हुसैन, हुसैन अलविदा, अलविदा हुसैन, हुसैन अलविदा, अलविदा हुसैन, हुसैन अलविदा, अलविदा शाहे मशरक़ैन अलविदा, अलविदा शाहे मशरक़ैन अलविदा, अलविदा शाहे मशरक़ैन अलविदा। बिलते अहमद के नूर ऐन अलविदा, बिलते अहमद के नूर ऐन अलविदा, है मुजाहिद के लब पर ये बैन अलविदा, अलविदा अलविदा अलविदा
शाहस्त हुसैन, बादशाहस्त हुसैन, दीनस्त हुसैन, दीपनास्त हुसैन, सरदार नदार दर दस्त यजीद, हक्का के बिना ला इलाहस्त हुसैन।
अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न रसूलिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न अमीर अल-मुमिनीन व सय्यद अल-मुरसलीन, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न फातिमत अज़-ज़हरा सय्यदत निसाइल आलमीन व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुह। अस्सलामु अलैका या गरीब अल-गुरबा, अस्सलामु अलैका या मुईन अज़-ज़ुअफ़ा वल फ़ुक़रा, السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وأنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرزتوس رازي بالقدر والقضاء علي بن موسى رضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب الأسر والزمان الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.